Are you literally going to call it that?
Yeah, why not? Hi, I'm Erica. Welcome to Boob Chat. We're going to talk all things cancer. And today we're specifically talking to my sister Naomi and her experience of breast cancer.
So 2015, I think it probably would have been about September. I felt a lump in the side here.
Sort of in your armpit, hey?
Yeah, almost towards the armpit. So I ignored it because I'm like, oh, it's probably just my period. You know, things are swollen. And then eventually I realised I probably said that to myself for at least 2 or 3 period cycles. I was like, I probably should go and get checked. Probably. Went to a GP across the road from work who I'd never seen before and haven't seen since. He felt it and said it's fairly soft, so probably not a bother, but we'll get it checked. Most GPs will tell you to go and get it checked because it's not their skill set. They don't do breast exams all the time, and you can't really tell from a touch, a feel anyway. Went and got an ultrasound done. The ultrasound guy, who title I can't really remember properly, ultrasound guy was very good. He said, oh, that's actually really firm and we'll need to get a fine needle aspiration done, which funnily enough is called an F&A, which I think sounds a little bit rude, and I really did think was F and A, but it's not. It's F, letter N, A. Fine needle aspiration.
It's funny hearing you say that to mum and dad. Just get an F&A. It's like, what are you saying to our mother?
And so I had that done, and they send those, they take that aspiration and send it away for someone to report on. Interestingly enough, all of those steps cost money, and a couple of $100, if not more. So the fine needle biopsy, the GP rang me and said it's suspicious for cancer. I rang him back after trying to process it. I'm like, what does that mean, suspicious for cancer? But he wasn't answering those questions. So the referral goes off, you get referred to a hospital, and then you wait. It wasn't very long, but you wait and then you go and see a consultant. And our other sister Laura did come with me for that. She sat in the waiting room because I thought I was going for a more detailed core biopsy where they go in and they take more cells from the lump and do a proper diagnosis. So Laura waited in the waiting room because I thought I was having a procedure done, never having been in hospital before, and it wasn't. I sat down and the consultant said, right, you've got cancer. And I was like, hold the phone.
So
No. No, it just is suspicious for, and you're going to do another biopsy and tell me it is, or probably it's not. But no. So he just announced, yes, you've got cancer, but we don't know what kind because it sits so far over. It could be in breast tissue or it could be something else. He said, so we'll book you in for surgery, for a core biopsy and then surgery. The core biopsy will tell us if it's breast cancer or something else. I might be getting this a bit mixed up. I've got it all written down somewhere. But either way, surgery, we're going to take it out. So I came out of that appointment with an appointment for surgery for 4 weeks later. And I don't know if I already had an appointment for the core biopsy, but a core biopsy as well. And so went out to Laura and I was like, so, by the way, I've got cancer. We'll do the surgery and more than likely that will be followed by 6 or 7 weeks of radiation. So, okay. So I had the core biopsy done. I don't even know if I got the results of that.
I remember I texted you and I was like, so what did they say about your lump? And you were like, it's a wee little cancer.
Because it was less than 2 centimetres.
And it looked like a rabbit.
Yeah, so in the ultrasound, It did. It looked like a rabbit. It was like kind of circular with his little ears above, like a rabbit face that kids would draw. So I got the core biopsy done. Very interesting. I have learnt a lot along the way. It's quite interesting. And then surgery, where they took they do an axillary node clearance and lumpectomy. No, they removed the lump and the first layer of lymph nodes. So a week later, I went back, saw the consultant, hadn't spread through the lymph nodes, definitely breast cancer, triple positive, which means responsive to estrogen. And from that appointment, which they'd lost my file, so I waited for 3 hours with a drain out my side and feeling not very well. And they were in a rush by the time I saw the consultant. This kind of cancer, you're going to need chemotherapy, radiation, Herceptin for 12 months, and estrogen suppressants for 5 years. Right. And he was in a rush because it was almost 6 o'clock by then. So he left, and it was the breast cancer nurse that really explained it all to me, and she was lovely.
That's cool.
She was amazing. And one of the fantastic things about all the awareness around breast cancer is that from that moment on, you have a breast cancer nurse. They know everyone's names, which I find remarkable. So the next time you walk up to the hospital, they know your name, they know your case. And if you've got questions, because it's a public system, like it's not a private thing, so you don't have your own doctor who you can contact. You can email or phone during business hours, and if you need, leave a message, and they'll come back to you, which they did.
That's cool.
Which I think is amazing, because the first time you find when you get your diagnosis, it's just mind-blowing. You can't retain all that information, and you as the one sitting there, I didn't, it was too much for me to listen and to write everything down, and that's why Laura came to most of those appointments with me and wrote things down, and she actually remembers it better than me. Then I find the person listening and writing the notes will, it seems to have a little bit more brain space to ask questions. So you go, so you said this, what does that mean? Or what about this? Whereas the person, for me, I was just like, okay, what? Okay, right, doing this, doing that. So I feel like sometimes the person it's happening to, you just get into go mode. For people around you, I feel sometimes it can actually be harder because you can't do anything. You can't fix it for the person. You've just got to watch. Whereas the person who it's all happening to, you're coping and surviving and just follow the steps, follow the steps, follow the steps. Yeah, so had surgery, started chemo. So my first round of chemo was 2 days before Christmas, 2015.
Yeah.
Chemo for 6 rounds, so 3-week cycles. Had a break, 4 weeks, then did radiation, so that's every afternoon, 5 days a week for 6 weeks. And then Herceptin, which is an injection, or a drug anyway, for every 3 weeks to finish the 12 months. Then the tamoxifen, which was I was on to suppress the estrogen, wasn't strong enough. I got my period back. So they arranged for me to have injections of a different drug every 4 weeks, but that meant going up to the hospital every 4 weeks. And I did that for a few cycles, and I was talking to the consultant, I said, I can't do this. I can't come to the hospital every 4 weeks for the next 5 years. It's like a constant reminder. You feel constantly like the patient, so I can't do it. So like mentally, I can't cope. I can't cope with this. So we made the decision to remove my ovaries and fallopian tubes. So that was, I think, September 2017. Yeah. So
and you're still on drugs at the moment,
yeah,
hey?
so I still take a drug called Arimidex, and another one which the GP actually prescribed, which I found very effective in dealing with the side effects of the Arimidex. Yeah, and that'll continue. And now I'm out to yearly mammograms and ultrasounds.
Cool. Which is a good sign, hey?
Yeah, so almost 3 years down the track, that's where I finally are.
What I found interesting about your kind of cancer, though, is that because it's estrogen positive, estrogen receptive,
Yeah.
they actually gave you, like, it was actually a good breast cancer to have.
Yeah.
Because they have Herceptin, which is, they basically knew that would do the job.
Yeah, from my understanding, changed the diagnosis radically. And up till 2 years prior to me being diagnosed, Herceptin was not on the, I think we call it the PBS, and would have cost me tens of thousands of dollars to have that. But it being available and readily available, because I wouldn't have been able to afford that, it changed the prognosis of my diagnosis significantly to kind of a good breast cancer to have, as you say, yeah.
If you're going to have breast cancer, you might as well have
It's a good one to get because the treatment is so effective.
I remember we would, like, whenever you had a chemo, because it would take like 3+ hours.
Oh, 5 to 8.
5 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
For all your chemo drugs to go in. So we'd come and we'd, like, set up with you.
Yeah.
Me and my sister Laura and sometimes our mum. And Laura's daughter would sometimes come.
Yeah.
And we'd play games on your bed. We'd bring a picnic into your bed. And the nurses were lovely. As long as we didn't get in their way of treating you
get too
or
noisy.
anyone else, or too noisy.
Yeah.
They were generally fine with it.
And they always encourage people to bring at least one person with them. That's not a bother. There's always space, because they realise that it does have an impact on your mental well-being and therefore your physical well-being.
Cool. So, highest point during your treatment? Best point, if there is one? Best moment?
Best moment. I don't know, but I wouldn't say there's a best moment, but it's the people that you meet along the way that make things okay. Mm-hmm. The nurses at the PA hospital on the oncology ward are amazing. The receptionists are amazing. I don't know if they call them receptionists, but people at the front desk, they remember your name. How many people do they see go through there and they don't look up your file and then remember your name? You walk in and they're like, oh, hi, Naomi. It's good to see you again. Say something nice. They remember things. The nurses remember things that you've told them. They're remarkable.
That's cool.
Probably one of the hardest things to deal with is the longevity of the effects. And they tell you about it at the beginning. Some of it, obviously. There's only so much information you can take in. But you don't believe that what they tell you will be you, because human beings, we don't. We're just like, it'll be fine, get whatever, like, move on. But it's true. Like, by the time I'd finished, I made it through the chemo and the radiation, and then I actually felt more tired. I think my body was sick of rushing and trying. And it's not until the beginning of 2018, I really felt like I was starting to get energy back, rather than, being able to work and then sleep most of the weekends. And the ache that I would get in my hands and my feet and my joints from the lack of estrogen or whatever causes it drove me insane. So yes, I'm heavier than I was at the start still. And everyone tells you to exercise, but everything, gosh darn, it hurts. And it's only until this year that I've noticed a big reduction in all of that ache. So I can walk longer distances. I can grip things better. And so I do more. And you don't realise that it's going to affect life that much. We nicknamed the lump that keeps on giving, or the overachieving lump, because it was like this big, and it's just... And obviously my treatment was so much more straightforward than so many women who lose breasts and need to have reconstructions or don't have reconstructions, or, that's a big body change. But even the treatment I've had, just such long-term effects, and they call it getting used to your new normal, because it is different. So I have a lady I rang the Breast Cancer Association, I think it was, or Cancer Council, sorry, and they put me in touch with someone who was further down the track than I, because I wasn't coping, and she explained the new normal to me again. And I found it to be true. I can only speak in my case. It's like you have a tiny little bucket for your energy now, and it empties very quickly, and it takes a long time to refill. And I've got more energy than I had for the last 2.5 years, but I'm much more careful with how I use my energy, so that I enjoy what I do, rather than being busy, and then crashing.
You have to protect your bucket.
I have to protect my bucket because it does still take much longer to fill. It's a slow and steady recovery. Ugh. But very thankful that I'm where I am now, and particularly with the reduction of all the ache. I'm much fit. Mentally, I'm not coping with that. Mentally, I have the space to move on to other things.
Yeah, that's good. Do you feel like you're better at saying no to things?
Yeah.
That's good.
And sometimes I feel bad, not feel bad, I feel like I'm justifying things still. I'm going, oh, look, I can't, I just don't have the energy for it. 2.5, almost 3 years down the track. But that is what it is. And this is my new normal. And why do I have to be busy all the time? I don't want to be that exhausted person. I don't need to be that exhausted person. And I like my life the way, even if I do get frustrated sometimes, I like the way my life is now. I have time for the things that are important, and I have to weigh up what's important and where I want to expend my energy. So I feel like my life, I'm really focused in on the things that I really want to do, rather than just being busy, because our society is busy. Yay! Thank you. Do you want that coffee now? Yeah, that's okay. I want a coffee.